but I still prefer the old Bollywood films, where you run around the trees and try to catch the girl, and the girl trying to catch the guy, and they keep on changing the sari colours and so on. That doesn't happen anymore in those films. But anyway, Sonia Mumtaz is going to be here talking about Bollywood and Bollywood bakwas and all of that a little later on. But before then, we're also talking about these short plays that were taking place at the Everyman Theatre over the weekend. Do you know, last couple of weeks, we've been talking to two writers. We were talking to Lekha Desai Morrison, who has a Gujarati background and is the writer of Clarissa, which is a story of an Indian girl getting married to a posh English boy whose mother comes across as being against the marriage. So there's that play that was performed at the Everyman Theatre over the weekend. And the other writer was Samuel Dharam, with a Sri Lankan background, who wrote Taylor Swift's Dog, which tells a story of a Muslim girl wanting to be like the writer of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling. But the publishers are pushing her towards writing more the traditional Muslim-like stories for forced marriage and honour killings and so on, but she's not having it. And the third writer, Michael Phong Le, whom we haven't spoken to before, is from a Vietnamese background and tells the story of what it was like growing up in Britain and experiencing the long arm of the law and prison as well. The plays, after I saw the plays, I spoke to some of the audience and Samuel Dharam, one of the writers, and this is what they had to say.
I'm Oma and I live in the Forest of Dean, and I really enjoy it. I've been coming here for the past 3 productions, and I like the diversity.
Which one of the 3 plays did you like more or less?
I didn't like the third one as much as the first and second. Maybe because I'm not into celebrity.
I'm Mandy Constance and I'm from Oxford. I came because one of my friends is a writer and I'm a writer too. I thought they were all very challenging and clever and very well acted.
So as a writer, did you learn anything from this?
Well, how to deliver monologues, which is a very brave thing to do. The way characters interact and the way stories are told.
My name is James Woodard. I'm a student of philosophy, religion and ethics at Gloucester University. Yeah. I worked in theatre for about 45 years and I've enjoyed this evening.
What did you like in particular?
Well, the fact that there was a consistent theme throughout the 3 plays. One was about the literary world. Perhaps it might have had too many stories in the play, the Taylor Swift.
So my name's Sadia and I'm from Gloucester. The first one, Clarissa, was fantastic. All mums are quite similar in some ways, so I quite liked that, and I liked how it kind of approached that. I was very moved by Con. I mean, we've all kind of struggled with that complex terrain of both of our identities. You know, our parents come to this country and they know quite certainly who they are, but for second, third, fourth generation immigrants, they're kind of still navigating that complex identity.
But I mean, how do you live your life with both cultures?
But it wasn't an easy place to get to. I didn't know who I was for a long time. There wasn't a huge amount of support and understanding when I was a kid, and I'm in my 30s now.
Yeah, with a name like Sadia, so you have a Muslim background, so did you not relate to Jasmina in the third play?
Well, I'm not actually a Muslim anymore. I haven't been a Muslim now for 17 years.
She liked all the Western things, didn't she? Even though she had a Muslim background, all the sort of British white girls, whatever they like, that's what Asian girls like as well.
Of course they do. Of course they do. So it's really interesting how they unpacked all of that, and it was nice to see something different. It wasn't just about, forced marriages or like honour killings and stuff like that, because that's all we're defined by nowadays, or our hijabs or our hymens or any of those kinds of issues. So it was quite refreshing to see completely different takes on it. I mean, I've got friends who are writers who have written plays, and they want to be able to write something different, but it is a challenge for them.
Samuel, you've written this play. This is the first time your play has been performed. What did you think?
I thought they were amazing. The performances.
You have to say it, haven't you? Because they're standing right here next to you.
I was just really touched because I know so many people who have read the scripts say how verbose it is. It's a satire about the literary agency, so there are a lot of words. But
because there are a lot of concepts a lot of people wouldn't know, ordinary people may not.
Yeah.
But it depends on the age group, because like Taylor Swift may not mean something to somebody.
Yeah. It's such a rarefied industry, publishing, music, pop culture. This is ultimately about a young girl dreaming of great things, trying to overcome her limiting beliefs.
Yes.
It's about people having dreams, ordinary people having big dreams, and just working hard.
And then tell me about how Louise got in touch, or you got in touch with Louise.
In the first year at university, I was a bit reluctant to get to know all these girls. I did a course, English literature. About 98% of the students on that course were girls. You would think it would be heaven, but it was torture.
Right.
It was really scary.
Wait, what was the course again?
English literature.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so all the guys out there, if you want to find girls, do English literature. Right. That's where you're going to find loads of girls. Yeah. Well, anyway, first month, I was in an English literature class for D.H. Lawrence. And Louise was so amazing. She just took over the seminar. So I avoided her for about 2 weeks. But then I took the guts to go and say hello. So I think within 2 weeks, we said, no matter what happens, we're going to keep in touch forever. We were young. We both wanted to be writers. We left university, but we kept in touch. So now that I started writing things, I would always send it to Louise. I would send a text and say, would you read this? And she would always read my stuff, everything. And she would have sent me her stuff and I would read her stuff. I'm just so touched that she's come all the way from Devon to see my play. And here's the interesting thing. When I knew her, she was different. She was a girl. Right. But now she's
a man.
Yeah. Now she's a woman.
The last time you saw her?
2007.
So Louise, what do you remember about Samuel then?
I remember being sat at a computer in the library and him approaching me, and then basically just speaking every morning after that.
So when he sends you all these texts and all the bits and pieces for you to read, do you sort of have a sort of quiet laugh at it?
No. I always try to be diplomatic. I would say that the more recent stuff has definitely improved somewhat.
There we are. That's some of the reaction of the audience and Samuel Durham, who's the writer of one of the plays, Taylor Swift's Dog, and his friend he hadn't seen for a long time, 11 years, in fact, Louise, finishing that report. There's more to come yet, though. I'll be talking to some of the actors who are performing there. Also Con, who's originally from Vietnam. He tells his story about him acting and what the play is all about. So that's coming up on the programme very, very shortly.
Mark Cummings.
Michelle. She says where the sunlight rises from, where the moonlight sets, or where it sits rather, not sets. From there, this news has come from. There's no one like you, he's saying to her. And she says where the sleep hides and where the dreams are decorated. That's where this news comes from. There's no one like you. Yeah, try saying that to your loved one. Now, we're talking about these three diverse plays by three different playwrights from the British Asian community, all put on at Cheltenham's Everyman Theatre this weekend, and I went along to the Taking Flight Festival to meet the audience and the writers and some of the actors as well.
Raina Rita Opal, and I'm from Wolverhampton, but I now live in London.
And I'm Louise Thomas, I live near Salisbury.
Tell me a little bit about the play you were acting in.
Well, I'm getting married. My name's Jasmine, and I'm marrying a very posh guy called George, and I'm a bit nervous about the mother-in-law, like everyone is, whatever race they're from, but I suppose I'm just feeling very insecure about a few things, and then she just turns up on my doorstep and
yeah. So I'm the posh mother-in-law, and I think it's quite a clever play in that you all the way through you really think that I'm trying to put her off marrying my precious son, and that there's possibly a racial element, because I say about the Indian thing, and you think right up to the end you think that I'm trying to put her off because I don't want my son to marry an Indian, but actually it turns it on its head, really, doesn't it? And then I find out that she's from high caste, and then it turns out that actually I had George out of wedlock, And and then I didn't want her to not marry him anyway. I just wanted to delay it because my daughter is pregnant and she needs to get married quick. So
one of the things I found interesting was about the informational side of things, because you gave us the information about the caste system.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
There were some really difficult words to learn.
But you did very well. So just go through that for me.
What you want me to say?
Can you remember it?
Oh my God! Here we go. Okay.
So you were trying to explain to your future mother-in-law about how you were actually from a higher caste.
Yes, and I think it was my chance to kind of show that I'm really knowledgeable. I'm not, some dummy that doesn't know anything. It was my chance to school her about something she knows nothing about. So there are 4 main classes: the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras.
So what about your actual background? Do you fit in any of those?
No, I'm Punjabi, but we do have our... Absolutely. So we have a caste system. I'm Jat, which is considered to be one of the highest, so we're the landowners. But I mean, to be honest, I don't really care about that stuff. Not at all. It doesn't even enter my mindset. But I'm aware of it. It exists. Maybe less and less so as time goes on in this country. But, for some people it's still important. But for me and my family, no.
Louise, your character had a bit of information about the saris and so on. That was quite good.
Yes, I know. Yeah, she loves them, didn't she?
Yeah. So tell us about the measurements and all of that.
Well, apparently they're 6 meters long, and then there's a lot of it to wrap around. So I have no idea how I managed to keep them up. I actually do personally think they are stunning, and I'd love to know how to put one on.
Now, what about your character as Jasmina, where again you talk about the fact you're wearing a hijab?
She's not obviously telling me to not wear my hijab, but she wants me to write about my hijab, and she wants me to write about my struggle as a Muslim in Britain nowadays. And she's not interested in that. She doesn't want to. It's almost like, it's not that she doesn't want to talk about it. She loves who she is. She loves the hijab. She's very proud of that. But she wants to write about stuff she's interested in. Like, why should I only write about our struggles? When she's somebody, what she represents is somebody that's rising above the struggles. She sees way beyond that. She sees herself on a world platform. She's smart, she's intelligent. Why should she keep being reduced to a person that's struggling when, she's not? She's a normal girl. She's had stuff happen in her life. Her dad hasn't been around. She's got issues just like most people on the planet.
And as a sort of Asian girl, you like all the things that British white girls like, Harry Potter and the TV stars and the musicians
Gary
and all
Barlow.
of that. Yeah, I know. I might draw a line at that myself.
Hey, he's quite cute. I'm the only one that sticks up for Gary Barlow here.
It was a good sort of story of mixture of cultures and having a foot in both cultures, really.
I would say my generation, the girls that I know and the girls I come across are, we're very westernized, but aware of where we come from and our roots. And the way I like and the way that I live is that I take the best of both cultures. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ignore both cultures, maybe like the slightly negative things, that's both cultures, but I'm going to happily take the best of both. And that's what I'm doing, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing now, and I think that can only be a great thing.
Great. That's some of the cast of the 3 plays. We'll be talking to Con, Michael, who plays Con in the other play that was performed yesterday and the day before at the Everyman Theatre. So that's coming up very, very shortly. The show today, we are talking theatre. This weekend I've been to the Everyman Theatre in Cheltenham to see the Taking Flight Festival, 3 new short plays by 3 new playwrights from British Asian communities. We've already heard from some of the actors and the audience. Now listen to one of the writers and actor, and that is Michael.
I'm Michael Fongley, and I'm an actor and a playwright.
Yeah. Michael, you sound very English.
I am. I mean, I was raised here from when I was about 7, so I guess the accent has gone.
Right. So what's your background then? Where's your family's background? Where are they from?
They're from Vietnam. We moved over to here, as I said, when I was 7. Farmers from Vietnam.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, you don't hear very much of Vietnamese, do you, on radio or television or anywhere, in fact?
No, I guess we're too busy trying to we're in survival mode still. I think the first generation are still in sort of making money so that they can provide for their children, and then I guess it gives us the scope, the second generation, to be able to go into less traditional careers like acting.
Yeah. Tell me about your performance then today. Just to remind the audience what it's about.
Well, it follows the story, semi-autobiographical, story of a Vietnamese boy struggling to come to terms with the conflict of being raised in two cultures. Essentially, the British culture, at first glance, it can seem very, very different. And I think any teenager going through that sort of difference between their peers and their families would struggle with that. They struggle for their identity. And actually, as they grow up, they realise that actually it's not that important to people. It is important, but also not as important as their teenage self would have them believe.
So, I mean, when you were growing up, did you think of yourself as Vietnamese, or did you think of yourself as English?
Very, very much English, but then I would come home to a very Vietnamese family. It sort of came and went. Teenage years, definitely growing up in sort of outside of London, felt very British, Go watch some cricket, or played cricket as well. But then through uni, and now after uni, very much there's a merge of the two.
What about you as an actor? Is there a demand for Vietnamese actors? I mean, do you play English roles, or would you be typecast because you're Vietnamese?
Yeah,
probably all sort of Asian, Chinese or Japanese, and all those sort of roles will come your way.
Yes, I mean it's a sort of double-edged sword for my career choice. I will get seen for all Asians, which is fine, but then even then, it's some of the roles can be quite limiting. It is getting better, but slowly. So I'm just trying to put it out there that I can be a pretty. So I always say that my dream is to play a character where my race is secondary, just like Dave from The Office, where you might make a few jokes about his skin color, as not make jokes at his expense, but in the same way that we all celebrate our differences in real life. Yeah. But as I said, my dream job would be for that to be secondary.
Do you think there's any time when Asian people, whether they're Vietnamese or Asian, Chinese, Indian, Bangladeshi, is there going to be a major hero in one of these sort of films? Maybe even like James Bond. I mean, would you sort of go for that sort of thing? If there was they were saying, well, look, here's an audition, we're looking for a new James Bond, would you go for something like that?
Of course. I wouldn't turn something down like that. But I think we need to stop.
Well, even if nobody approached you, they wouldn't expect you to.
Oh, I see. Well, then I don't think I'd get into the audition. But like when I think we need to stop waiting for a hero. We need to start creating things ourselves, because I don't think the industry is going to wait around for us. They're not going to create things for us. No. And it's not that they have a lack of imagination. It's just we can't keep on waiting for that role. We need to, as a community, all Asians, need to create our own roles, sort of make our mark, and not just wait for one person to be able to do it.
There we are, Michael Fong Lei, who's an actor. Never know, might see him as James Bond in the future. And he's a writer as well, and he was one of the actors and writers of the Taking Flight Festival, which was taking place at the Everyman Theatre over the weekend.
Dominic Cotter, Reg Moore gardening advice on the radio if you want to get through.